Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rising Tides show. You guys probably think, hey, he doesn't look anything like Shawn. So Shawn actually asked me to sit in for him today, and I'm really excited for the opportunity to connect with the audience out there and also see what the rest of the group has to say. So one of the things we talking about today is there's a decision you make as a leader. Those decisions delay cost, and they cost you a ton. And that's what we want to talk about today, because there is this little thing we always say, that you are being exposed for the real business costs, which hesitates and which cost you inside information from financially and then also from a people side. Creating bright, for speakers, delivering a signal for the listeners. That's all what we want to do today. Because again, welcome to the Rising Tide Show. This belongs to owners, operators, leaders, and builders of hospitality. I'm Christian Fischer. If you haven't met me yet, I'm stepping in for Shawn Walchef today, who supports his community, and I support his work. So you wonder, why does this matter? You all know hospitality moves really fast. Leadership decisions shape cash, they shape culture, they shape confidence. And if you delay this, it hides as caution because the bills show up later. Today, we're going to talk about the decisions lead a delay, which cost them the most. Because delay feels it's the responsible thing to do. A delay feels disciplined. A delay feels like, hey, it drains the momentum without noise. And every delayed decision shifts pressure downstream. You guys know that. Teams absorb the pressure, and that's not where we want to be. And you wonder, Christian, why do you care? And for me, that's really simple. Because delayed decisions have shaped my hardest lessons. And it was like a simple thing. I waited to hire the wrong person. We had somebody else in that position. How often does this happen to you? You wait to hire the right person, and then you realize, I should have made that decision 6 months ago. I honestly feel burnout follows. I waited to correct pricing, and we talked about this last week. Margins collapse. The real truth is, pressure doesn't break teams. It's the waiting does. Because anchoring today's conversation is really, for me, all about leaders do not pass risk. And they don't pass it forward because they want to make a decision. Leaders pass the risk because they fail to make that decision. So with that, I want to invite people which are here today into the room, and let's start having a conversation around that. And for me, I want to put out to today's leaders, how often did you make a decision? And when you look back 6-8 months, say, hey, I should have made that decision a long time ago. Maybe I should have had moved that person out, or maybe I should have hired somebody else. Maybe I should have had changed my pricing, or maybe should have had taken that one thing off the menu. So with that, I want to say welcome to everybody here today. Miss Elizabeth, welcome to the Rising Tide. And I know you feel I'm much handsomer than Shawn, so welcome for being here today. Laura, thank you for being here today. And
all the ladies showed up for you, Christian.
Yeah, thank you. So what do you guys feel about today's conversation? The decisions leaders fail to make fast enough, and there's a cost to that. And you all know there's a cost to all of it. And the cost sometimes creeps up really slow, and sometimes the cost hits you right in the face. And for me, the reason I wanted to talk about that day, because last week we talked about pricing. And for me, this is the second step. How often has anybody in your operation forgotten to change the prices because it was easier to leave it the way it is? We didn't want to upset nobody. And we don't make the decisions. So with that, I want to open it up to the room and welcome. We have Dean here. How are you? And I wanted to have a few things from you. As always, the rules are really simple. Share your name, share your role, and how you serve the hospitality industry. Also, we are non-Shawn today. So maybe we roast Shawn a little bit. So tell me one or two things Shawn could do better. Could he do something better? Jason, how are you today? But I want to have some fun and I want to have some honest conversation. Also for me, there's a little bit of a rule I have. No fixing today, okay? No really hardcore advice, and certainly no judging. So with that, Elizabeth, you up first. So tell everybody who the community. You can say something positive about Shawn or kind of, roast him a little bit. We leave this up to you. But talk to me here about today's topic. The decision leaders fail to make, which cost them the most. What does this mean to you?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Christian. It's great to be with you and to have your community joining and this cross-pollination of what you're doing and how you inspire entrepreneurs and business leaders. And so I'm really excited for the conversation. My name is Elizabeth Doss, and I am a social media manager, content creator, and I also make animated GIFs for businesses to be able to use across social. But recently I've been working with Auden Hospitality, Scott Turner, over across the pond, where we are trying to help hoteliers up their food and beverage game and making hotels invitational and rather than skipped. A lot of people, they go out instead of coming there. And so really fostering those interactions and making sure that the community is a part of the transformations that happen in these boutique hotels across the world. And so anyway, I do some work for them on the social media side of things. But I was thinking about this question, and it applies in my alternate universe from because I'm a one girl shop over here for most of what I'm doing. So as far as leadership goes, not so much here, but my husband is the pastor of our church, and so I am the first lady of the house, as they say. Anyway, but over the years, my father was the pastor here before he passed the reins on, and something that we came across in that transition time is this idea of when we're talking about the delay in the cost of leadership, we realized that maybe he should have considered handing it over sooner than because he got to the point where he was exhausted and just kind of had to walk away from everything. So we missed that chance kind of the mentoring and the handing of the baton over. And so I guess one way that I was seeing this, the cost of delaying trust in transition and making sure that, and so for us, what it's done is paying attention to the next generation and giving them a voice and including them and empowering them and understanding that we are not the end all beat all, and that we should be developing skills and tools within our community so that they are raised up to be leaders when it's time. So that's my input for today is the cost of delaying trust.
I love that. So with that, Elizabeth, if people also know, we also support 176 churches. Wow. And like every other church, our church is struggling. And so we kind of moved into cohorts. So we have this group, and so we do 6-7 campuses. We only have 3 pastors. So we kind of have to go with the times. And for me, what really resonated with me on this conversation is because we should have made the decision 5 years ago, which we made last week. Okay. There's another decision we will make tomorrow. We should have made this 10 years ago.
Yes.
There's that cost of inaction. And for me, the hardest thing is, because I love what we do, we just never really went with the times. And I think
Mhm.
from a church side I think that's harder than anything else. So, and then also, by the way, to our audience, if you haven't checked out Auden Hospitality, they do an amazing work. They're not
Yes.
American, but they're doing amazing work. And now to you, how did you meet Shawn? So now
Oh,
give us a little bit about Shawn. Give us some dirt, maybe we can share here with everybody.
it's not dirt. It's Clubhouse, which I guess is dirt now. But anyway, no, actually, I was in this pursuit of understanding more about the marketing side of the world, and
Yeah.
so I started going to rooms with Richard Liverman and with Troy Hooper in over there, and they said, "Hey, you should come to the digital hospitality side of things." And even though everyone else in the room has worked in a restaurant, I think the closest I came was I was a concierge for a country club for like over Christmas when one season. That's the closest I've come to working a hospitality job. But just understanding that even though you may not be directly a descendant of the network that you're in, if you can come in adjacent to that. And so when Shawn began to talk about building a media company, a barbecue media company, it snagged in my little mind heart of the Venn diagram of how your skills, your experience, and your passion can all cross-pollinate, and you can create your own pathway. And so that's one reason why I love Shawn, is that he is creating his own pathway.
Awesome. I love that. There's my mini Shawn for everybody. Have him sitting right here. And this thing constantly keeps telling me Peter Shorten at the commercial, because that's something he said to me 2.5 years ago. And for me, I always think there was some inaction. I should have done that earlier. And it was awesome. Thank you, Miss Elizabeth. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for listening in. Mr. Matty Smokes. So Mr. Matty Smokes, if anybody looks at it, he is above average handsome. He knows his way around the pitmaster. There's just a very few people do. So Matty, tell everybody who you are, what do you do, how do you serve the community, and then what does a delayed decision mean to you?
Thank you, Christian. What's going on, guys? Matty Smokes here. Matty Smokes Barbecue and Catering, serving authentic, true, low and slow barbecue from Brooklyn to Sag Harbor, bringing the hospitality experience to you. And JJ Cooper's Bar and Restaurant, Long Beach, New York, where I'm chef, owner, operator. City by the Sea, about 4 blocks from the boardwalk, serving up great American cuisine to everybody. It's a tough question. You know, leadership, we're in a situation where we always have to make decisions, and sometimes decisions rely on leaders above us as being a leader, and other times we've got to make those decisions. But waiting on those decisions can also be costly, because sometimes they're not, that opportunity's gone and passed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of decisions that I'm dealing with lately are employees, how to train new employees, how to hire new employees, how much do you pay them? Do you take them now? If you wait a week and they were a good one and then somebody else has scooped them up, it's I don't know. I was waiting to listen to everybody else, but it's it's a dilemma we all live with every day.
Yeah. And do you feel there's sometimes a decision you made today you wish you would have had changed it 6 months from now when you look backwards? Is there a decision which you currently sitting on you knew you should have made 10 years ago?
Yeah, of course. But that comes with knowledge and experience, and you can't harp on the past. Believe me, there's plenty of decisions that were made 10 years ago, and there's a few particularly that we'll be discussing in the next few months that I could have listened to mentors above me or people that were trying to share their experience with me to make me better and give me better opportunity. But in that moment, that's what felt right to me. So you had to go with your gut and your intuition. Sometimes gain your own experience to continue making decisions going forward. But
that's awesome. So also tell everybody in our audience, how did you meet Shawn? And by the way, there's a little reason behind it. I'll tell you guys afterwards why I'm asking that. But how did you meet Shawn?
I met Shawn because I was in a moment in my life that I was looking for new paths to network and meet people in this industry, and start gaining an understanding of what else was out there outside of my bubble, being a chef, owner, operator.
Yep.
Going to work, cooking every day. It just started feeling cyclical, like I was in a hamster wheel. And Shawn sent me a message saying, "Be on the show." I'm like, "Be on what? What do you mean be on the uh, podcast? I don't know what this is." And I got a link, and then I watched 2 or 3 episodes, and he kept saying, "Be on the show, be on the show." And I came on here, and I think the first show I sat here and was like writing a script, like, okay, what am I going to say? Completely terrified.
Mhm.
And then it turned into Mark Hatch inviting me down to Chicago and meeting him in person and meeting Dean and hanging out with Chris and Ian Hawksworth. And here I am. I mean, I think it's probably only been about 8 months, and now I hang
Mhm.
out with you guys once a week at least.
That's awesome.
So Shawn just pushed me to get out of my comfort zone and get on camera and share my story with everybody.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And thank you for sharing. And for me, the reason I asked this question, and we have a few little things, but for me, we all need somebody who sees in us what we don't see in ourselves. And I think Shawn has that ability. And as he said to me, "Christian, you need to be the show and not the commercial." I said, "I don't even know what it means." Okay. It was Friday at 5 o'clock. I said, "Shawn just said this to me. You know what? We will do what we need to do." Monday, we pushed out the first episode. We had 350 episodes in. And like everybody else, I don't like the way I look on camera. I don't like the way I sound on camera. We do it anyway. And that's also for the day, because the decision we delay and cost us the most is that because we are uncomfortable doing what we're supposed to do. Be uncomfortable. You want to make somebody uncomfortable with that. And I want to hear from, because we are international. We not just here national. We are international because we have Richard here from across the pond. So with next up, Richard, say hello to everybody. Tell everybody who you is, what do you do, and how you serve the community.
Hey, good evening, Christian. I'm Richard from the UK. My business is Richard Solutions. We're all about helping individuals and businesses grow, and we do that by whatever tools necessary. It's a really interesting question tonight about things we delay. And I think one of them is actually asking for help. And there's that little bit where, whether it's pride, stubbornness, or resistance, or appearing weak, there's lots and lots of reasons why people don't do it. What's really interesting is after they've done it, they're like, "Gosh, I'm really pleased I did that." And I think it's one of those ones that we can all relate to. And I think, making decisions, I also believe that sometimes people look for a black and white answer.
Yeah.
Should it be this or should it be that? Well, reality is it can be both at the same time. I think sometimes we get so stuck in black and white that we actually should be looking up, because there's all them like colorful rainbows and kind of mad stuff up there. And I think there's that little bit where sometimes we're so fixated on right and wrong, left and right, that we're not actually looking in the right place. So I think this whole idea around leaders making decisions, one of the things that I notice, I do a lot of consultancy, I do a lot of coaching and mentoring. And a lot of the time people are looking to make good decisions. They just need the scaffolding in order to make them. But there's also that little bit where, how do you get people out of black and white thinking? Because that's where, the creative side of all of our brains can go and do interesting things. So I think one of the challenges I put to leadership, but also to, people going through their careers, is like, don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think there is that little bit where we're really, really hesitant. And us Brits are far worse than our North American friends, which should terrify you guys.
We appreciate it. And I actually have a follow-up question to you. What or where for you did hesitation cost you the most, or more than you expected?
Do you know, I'm going through that process at the moment, which is why I'm sitting here rather uncomfortably. I rebranded 3 years ago. It was a great thing. It really boosted my business. And I'm currently going through my whole business foundations, everything, looking at everything. and I put it off for 6 to 9 months because I've been in delivery mode. And, you know, the customer, as you know, Christian, the customer always gets served first. Leaders and chefs eat last. Well, in this case, I need to eat. So that the work I should have, you know, the work I've been putting off, I'm doing at the moment. And I'm already regretting not doing it earlier. And I think there's that little bit where, I mean, don't get me wrong, I ask for help. When I need it, I will ask for help, you know, with coaches, mentors, or training, whatever I need. I'm, you know, open enough to be able to do that. But there's also that little bit where, you know, sometimes helping ourselves is the last thing we do. And I know there's a lot of business leaders here on this call and probably listening. And how often do we put other people's work before our own? And then when we fixed our foundations, oh my God, isn't everything easier?
I love that. So before we move to the next person, how did you meet Shawn, and how did you wind up on Rising Tides?
Yeah, this I heard you ask that question. I was thinking about this. It was actually back on Clubhouse during lockdown, and I actually met Elizabeth on that app, and we would sort of talk about marketing. But there were a whole load of barbecue rooms. I love them. I trained as a chef for 9 months. I love American barbecue food, and I was just like listening into rooms, and then I kind of heard a conversation about barbecue and business. I'm like, this is great. It's like two things I really love, and just sort of listened, got involved, you know, kind of just got involved. And before I know it, here I am with a Cali barbecue baseball cap. And I've had the privilege of working with a number of people in this community, of meeting a number of people in this community. And Shawn's coming over to the UK in the summer. And I've got some hilarious content ideas planned for him. One of which is getting him to try classic British food on camera. So I thought I'd give you a sneaky preview of a classic British... I think we call them chocolate bars. You probably call them candy bars. This is a Whisper.
Nice.
Right, which is aerated chocolate. So what's going to be really funny is watching Shawn's reactions to and his family's reaction to some classic British food. And yes, Jason, I will be feeding him pudding.
Oh, that is awesome. Awesome. And a lot of our listeners are asking, where's Christian going with that? And let me bring this on a little bit earlier. We all need a community which gives us honest feedback. We all need a community which looks out for us. We all need a community which wants this thing more for us than we want it for ourselves. And Rising Tide is it. And if you listen to this, I encourage you to come on and make a friend, because when you come on here and you have a marketing question, who you think I'm going to call? If I want to bring my business out there because I want other people to come in and dine with me, I know exactly who to call. If I want to open up a barbecue joint, I know who to call. We all need a network which wants it more for us than we want it for ourselves. And for me, Shawn has been that network. Rising Tide has been that network. Because when you start looking at anybody you meet, rather than, hey, what can I get from that? And switch and say, how can I serve them like nobody else? How can I make their business better? How can I help them to step up? How can I tell them, hey, do something else? And you know what? It's like today, I tell Richard, you know what, Richard? You look amazing in a hat. Okay. I hate it because I think you look better than me with a hat. I'm a little annoyed about that. Okay. But here we are, a community where we're honest. And anybody listening out there from LinkedIn world, you need to get yourself a group. You need to get yourself a group which want it for you more than anybody else. And for me, that's what I love about this community. The reason I love Rising Tides, because it does lift all ships. And if I can make Dean's world better, Dean, for you, I upgrade it. So just for you. And if I can help Dean to be better, or Elizabeth, or Laura, that's what this is all about. And we all need this. And the reason decisions cost leaders so much is because you heard it already from the three people who talked about it. I'm afraid I don't want to be judged, or I don't want people to tell me, how come you don't know that? You're in business. How come you don't know? Why would you want to have such a simple answer? Because sometimes from the outside, it's a lot easier to look at it than from the inside. And for me, if I learned one thing, this community is it. And everybody needs their own version of rising tides. Because the decision you leave on the table today, I promise you, 6 months from now, you're going to look back, because it's the guy with the funny accent said that. And that's what this is all about. And with that, Richard, thank you for calling in from across the pond. We are international. We appreciate that. We actually more than international, because we have Dean here with us. Dean, you up next. You know, Dean, space looks phenomenal. Lighting is amazing. You look above average well today. So tell everybody who you are, how you came to be, and how you serve the community.
Oh, thank you. My name is Dean LeBay, LA_BAY. I'm working on my audio here in the studio, so hopefully you're hearing me okay. I had to charge up the old hearing aid that works on Bluetooth. As far as my looks, I'm here for one reason only, to make y'all look better, because everybody looks better than old man Dean. But anyway, what's the question? Cost of inaction?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe you can make it personal. What did it cost to you? What does it mean to you if somebody tells you, Dean, what was the cost to you of inaction?
Well, when I first got here, when I first got to these rooms, the cost of inaction was basically I had to do something. When you're so far down in this industry, we don't talk about it much, but we used to talk about it a lot on Clubhouse. But in this industry, people that work in this industry, sometimes, I mean, they're just trying to get through the day. They're just trying to make it. They're just trying to get through somebody not bumping into them, getting in their space. And sometimes you're at the lowest level that you can be. Well, that's what this community is for me, because that's where I was when I came. When I came, there was no way up. There was no way except up. So yes, the rising tide literally lifted me up.
Yeah.
I owe my life to this community. I made a bold move 2.5 years ago. I went from Longview, Texas, moved down to New Orleans to be with my daughter. And part of this community said, do it, Dean, just don't give up. When I first got here, I didn't know anything. First of all, I didn't know how to use a phone. I had no idea what an app was. I had never been on a Zoom call. I had done none of this stuff. So everything I've learned from this community.
Yeah.
You're going to ask how I met Shawn. So here's how I met Shawn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I spend way too much time on LinkedIn, if you just want to be honest about it. But I ran across a post on somebody's, and Shawn had said, loud AF. I'm like, well, who is that? I mean, who talks like that? And then I saw it said Cali Barbecue Media, and that just even intrigued me even more. So, I just reached out to him and said, tell me a little bit more about you. He said, well, come on Clubhouse. I said, man, I don't even know what Clubhouse is. And he basically walked me through it. And when I got there, Jason was there, Elizabeth was there, and I had never experienced anything like that. It was pure audio. I didn't know who any of these people were, but they welcomed me with open arms, and they told me to come back. They told me, listen, for a long time, y'all don't know me, y'all know a little bit about me, but early in my youth, I really thought my name was 86, because I'd go to some place and they said, no, you're 86. I said, man, what are you talking about? So, for a long time, I thought that's who I was, because I got thrown out a lot of places. There's a place in College Station. I still think they have my picture up on the wall that I'm permanently banned. This place called the Dixie Chicken, if you ever go to Texas A&M down in College Station. But anyway, that's another story for another day. So literally, what cost of inaction? Here's what Shawn told me. Shawn said, listen, you need to make a decision to do something. So he
Mhm.
pushed me to start making content. He pushed me to start posting more on LinkedIn. He pushed me to come back to these meetings on Wednesdays and Fridays. And it took me a while. So again, I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn. There's another friend
Yeah.
named Charles Caldwell, and what he talks about, it's an old Chinese proverb. It's basically, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So no matter where you're at in your journey, because it is all about timing, and it is kind of like what Elizabeth was talking about. He's talking about with the church, and I'm a kind of a big God guy. I'm a big God guy. It happens in His time, not mine. And the thing is, things will come to you if you put yourself out there. But if you don't, when the door of opportunity knocks and you don't answer it, who's to blame? If you don't take a swing, you'll never hit the ball.
Mhm.
You don't
Mhm.
take a chance. So yeah, I owe this community my everything. And I know we're going to pitch it over to Jason. And if y'all don't know Jason very well, you need to connect and you need to double tap up in the top, because Jason has been instrumental in my life. He's been there. There's been a couple of times I've called him and he answered the phone, and that's what this whole community is. I
Mhm.
have no problems. I've called Richard. I've talked to Maddie at NRA. I've talked to Liz. The thing is, this isn't most people don't get on LinkedIn because they're afraid of getting pitch slapped. That's
Yeah.
not what this place is. This place is human beings telling about day-to-day occurrences that happen on a local level that we all experience. It's that human connection. It's that, collect the dots so you can connect the dots. And man, on Wednesdays and Fridays, this is where I'm going to be. So listen, thanks for letting me share. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, awesome. But before you go, we have two questions for you. Number one,
Oh my
um,
God.
give me a
Oh
little,
my God. Got to
give me,
ask 3 questions. All right.
give
All
me a
right. Go
little bit of
ahead. What
dirt
is
on
it?
Shawn. We need to dig up a little bit of dirt on Shawn, and then tell the audience, where does hesitation show up for you right now? Is there a place where it shows up and you need some support around it? Or
First of all, I have
Mhm.
no dirt on Shawn. And to be honest with you, if I did know some dirt, I probably wouldn't say it on a live podcast. Um, Second question. What was the second question? Where does
do you have anything in your life where hesitation shows up right now?
uh not really.
Mhm.
I'm 65 years old. I'm at that age that you get old enough, you start to sense BS, and you kind of can smell it when it's before it even opens the door. So I'm at that age. I'll listen and I'll talk to anybody, but just don't lie to me and don't steal from me, and we'll get along just fine.
I love that. Thank you, Dean. Thanks for being part of the community. And then
Absolutely.
he introduced the one and only Mr. Jason Berkowitz. So with that, from the West Coast, Mr. Berkowitz, thanks for being part of Rising Tides today. So can you tell our audience who you are, what do you do, and how you serve the community?
Happy to be here. Long-time listener, long-time caller. Jason Berkowitz, longtime restaurant operator and partner, and founder of Arrow Up Training. 7 years ago, we launched it. We help restaurants satisfy their compliance and really focus now on developing their supervisors into California-ready leaders. As Laura knows, and I talked on a previous show, excited to kind of lean in a bit on this state that took me in a long time ago when I came out here, strange, weird, looking for something. The independent restaurant community took me in, gave me a home, gave me some walls to test my world, and I think there's a real opportunity to support them there, and that's how I'm serving in ways both in business and as well as through multiple nonprofits that I'm on and really helping out here.
Awesome.
I think the one to talk about also answers two questions. One is something that I'm working through today, as well as cost of inaction, which, by the way, Dean has been sharing that equation, the cost of inaction, since Clubhouse days years ago. So props to that, Dean. He planted that seed in our heads a long time ago, and sharing his experience and growth through that honesty and authenticity. And you know, Dean, you know, he's honest and authentic. It's fantastic. 7 years ago, I left the position of a chief operating officer. We had scaled the group to multiple locations. I did what I loved to do and love to do. Well, was doing it there, which was you had a concept that worked. You brought me in a couple locations, maybe. You would bring me in and I would put infrastructure in place so that we can put a team together, answer those two questions that I think every team member and everybody wants to know, which is what's my job and how am I doing? And that's in training and feedback and putting that structure so that you can raise capital and then grow. And I did that for a number of brands, come on board for a couple of years and step off to launch Arrow Up, which the goal was out of the box training checklist. It's an out of the box, basically operating system for smaller operators to take all the things that I had done, whether it was earning you a Michelin star through training or lowering your operating costs through checklists or things like that. And when we were excited to sort of launch this, I got pulled to the left by partners and advisors and family members who are like, you're out of your mind. No one's going to pay for that right now. You got to go with what you can sell. And compliance was becoming something that was a need. And I really did see an opportunity as the author of Please Don't Sleep with the Host, my book. I saw an opportunity to bring the voice into anti-harassment training that was needed in our restaurant industry and drive the narrative. And it was a great decision. And we're 7 years later and we moved to safety and leadership development. That's to say, I kind of coming around the bend. I am coming around the bend into this year saying, well, let's go back to that idea, right? I've hit a point of growth. I don't think we're going to go above. Why am I doing this? What's the passion behind it, right? There's always but think about growing restaurant groups or things. I'm like, I've started this thing. What's the thing that I said, you know what, if it ends tomorrow or not, did I really go for it? And that's part of with California. I'm bringing my app back out and I'm putting myself in front of this context of what we're doing, which is almost the Jason Berkowitz Arrow Up operating system, develop your supervisor, taking all the things that I loved and sharing it, not in some scalable platform necessarily, which it is, but smaller, more focused, heart, getting myself into it, putting myself out there, bringing my own personal brand in with the business brand, driving it, failing for it or succeeding on it based on this passion. And that's why I'm starting with California, because I have such a through line of story of, again, where California took me in. California's losing focus in certain things and winning on others. And I can't tell you if it's the right move or the wrong move. So we'll see if cost of inaction was the greatest thing or the worst. So we're going to see. But I wanted to introduce that it is something that I was like, I really said to myself, if the rug was ripped out today, would I feel like I actually failed or succeeded at the thing I wanted to do? I can't say
Jason, can I challenge you on that? Because I'm just doing an exercise on my business at the moment. And it's funny because my wife's just done the same on hers. And there's a question to ask yourself. What would the world be like if your business wasn't there?
It's great.
And I think when you can answer that question, you've almost kind of nailing your value proposition, but you're also nailing what it is you stand for and all the things that you're talking about. It's almost my challenge to you is go away and think about that. What would the world be like if your business wasn't there?
Yeah, it's great. That's absolutely great. You know, and it's aligning with the videos I'm watching and YouTube and some of this and everything that's sort of I'm absorbing in this idea of saying like, that's a great way of looking at it. What difference does it make? My love and heart is in, you know, we work with multi-units, we work with enterprise, we work with everything. I'm such a fan of the independent restaurant, of giving them the tools that they need to grow, because again, it's its own ecosystem of culture where we can develop, and I myself was developed through. So that I'll take that to heart. Thank you, Richard. And kind of, you know, where I think the impact can align and come together on that. So we'll see. I've got great stories as a chief operating officer when you had to fire people too fast and you lost too much money because you kept the wrong person around because they held the keys to the castle and all of that stuff that, sure, we all know this, right? So that there's costs of inaction and all that, but this is the one I wanted to share.
I love that.
Vulnerably.
No, thank you, Jason, and Richard. Thank you. That's a great exercise. I think more people need to do that. And Jason, question for you: how did you meet Shawn, and how did you wind up here?
Clubhouse. Same with all. I don't know if Troy brought me in, but I
think
remember
Troy brought us all in. Yeah.
Yeah. And so years ago, right? And I just so many vivid memories of walking through my old neighborhood, listening to Dean, listening to Elizabeth, going for a long time, just walking and listening to stuff and talking, right? I can't walk anymore because we're on this computer visual. No, shit. And so that's my bust to Shawn too. I'm like, why'd you do that, man? I love to walk.
Yeah, Shawn, so listen, I totally agree. And then also, by the way, congratulations on your book. As you guys know, and our listeners, I'm big that everybody should write
big
a book
on this.
By the way, little shameless plug, number 50. This is my 50th book we launched. And for me, that was probably the biggest decision for me, the cost, because I never asked for help. And that's a story I wanted to tell in the beginning, because I wrote 14 books with a company which was an international food company. And as I started writing on my own, I didn't want to ask for help. And that's what we alluded to earlier. And then I hired this guy, George. I will never forget him. And he came on and he said to me, okay, what do you need help with? I said, I got everything. I don't need anything else. I just need to know, why does the margin not work? He says, oh, it's easy. Blah, blah, blah. 15 minutes later, I was done with him. And I was like, George, I hate you with a passion. I was working on this, trying to fix it on my own 4 years. You did it for 15 minutes. George, you suck so bad, and George and I are friends now. And I bring that up quite often, because how often do we have something we think we can do it? I don't want to show weakness. I don't want to ask for help. Ask for help. Find yourself the right community. Thank you.
Hey, Christian, can I tell you a little quick story about asking for help?
Yeah.
Just like Jason was talking about, back in the Clubhouse days, everything was audio. You could get on there and you could find Instagram, different things. But stay curious, get involved, ask for help.
Yeah.
So in 101 days will be the NRA show in Chicago. It'll be my 4th show.
That's awesome.
But 4 years ago, I had no clue. I was still trying to figure out how to walk and how to, get out of the wheelchair and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to Shawn. I said, listen, man. He said, well, what would you like to do? I said, man, I said, I'd really like to go to the NRA show. He put a GoFundMe on LinkedIn and within 2 hours, this community responded. Within 2 hours, not 2 days, not 2 weeks, not 2 months, 2 hours. They paid for my trip there, back, and everything in between. Now, who does that?
Yeah.
Nobody but this kind of community. So yes, it is important to stay curious. It's important to get involved, but probably the most important thing is, do not be afraid to ask for help, because there's somebody that'll help you. But I can't read your mind. You got to ask me. You got to tell me. You got to tell me what's going on. And like I said, I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. It's given me my life back. Thank you.
Awesome. We appreciate it. And thank you, Jason. And now we have the one and only Miss Laura Wilbot. So if you don't mind, tell everybody who you are, what do you do, and how do you serve today's community?
Hello, everyone. As you know, I believe showing up is 80% of success. And when we show up consistently, like all of you do in your business and in this community, we can really make a major impact. And in 2024, I committed to showing up at least once a week for this community. I've shared that at that point it was audio, and I was really nervous to speak. I just would tune in and listen a lot of times. And then I would never, on Clubhouse, it was like, raise your hand if you want to come on stage. And I was so nervous to raise my hand, but eventually I did. And then it has evolved to the video as we see today. You mentioned, Dean, about the stay curious, get involved, ask for help, which I think is credited to Shawn's grandfather.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that this wisdom, has made its way to this community, and we can all quote some of these things, like "be the show, not the commercial," which I think came from Shawn's mentor, David Meltzer. So this community, I mean, there's so much that leaders in every level of life and business can benefit from these conversations and this great wisdom. So what I do for work, I'm in the business of showing up for my restaurant clients and bringing friends. By friends, I mean 21 million expense account diners looking for great restaurants. When they're traveling for business, it's mostly early and midweek. When they're looking for dine-in, carry-out, catering, and private events. And when you asked Richard about, what would the world be like if your business didn't exist? I think a lot of restaurant operators it would take so long for them to start developing direct relationships with the who's who in business travel if they did it on their own, with all of the other demands on their time that they have to juggle, labor, everything else. But this is really a great community for them to plug into directly and start building.
Laura, that's your new sales pitch right there. Absolutely right there. That's it.
Agreed.
Richard, thank you so much. I want to shout out to Maddie Smokes too, because Maddie, when you joined, I remember you came on that one Rising Tide where Mark Hatch, who is involved in putting on big events, including the Create conference that you went to. Of everyone that I've met through this space, you have taken action so quickly and executed on all of the advice and the tips and all of the things that each person has shared over time. Showing up. You showed up at conferences. You've showed up here. You got your podcast launched. You started being the show by posting video and editing it at the next level. I mean, it's really remarkable what you've been able to accomplish. And I want to commend you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate. Listen, you guys all helped me get there. I mean, after the first episode, Christian invited me on as a guest, and I'm like, wait, I'm going to be a guest on a pod? What do you mean? So it's been everybody there, and I'm all ears. I'm a big sponge. I love it all. So thank you. I appreciate that, Laura.
Thank you. And as far as today's topic, the cost of inaction, it really, when I was thinking about the topic, it reminded me of a book that I read years ago called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And we talked a lot about people. And again, this community is about people way beyond what we do for work. But getting the wrong people off the bus, as is, advised in this book called Good to Great, is so critically important, because the right people that you want on the bus do not want to work in a culture with anybody that is undermining or, bringing down the culture, or not in it for the greater good of the business, the customers, and each other. So if there's one cost that really stands out to me in business, it's waiting too long to remove the wrong person from the bus. Yeah. And then also, the flip side of that, get the right people on the bus. Steve Jobs said a small handful of A+ players can sell circles around an army of B and C players. Can you figure out how to invest in getting the A+ players on your team? You will not need as many of them. They're going to set the culture, and they will drive out the people that you want off the bus.
I love that. And by the way, I'm an example of that, because one of the hardest thing for me was to try to find my lane. And I always felt you had to kind of satisfy both sides. And sometimes there's 3 or 4 sides. And the moment, I think with Shawn, what he asked me to do this show, because I hated to be on camera. I hated, I didn't like my voice. I didn't like the way I sound. I didn't like the way I look. And doing this, if you do you, your people will come. If you do you, the people which were not meant for you will not show up or they go away. If you do you, people know what to expect. And for me, that was the biggest thing. And I never thanked Shawn for that, because as he pushed me to do this, I did 50 episodes. And I said, hey, I said it all. We covered it all. And he said, no, you keep going. And the people I have met because of that, and the people we interacted with, it's amazing. I would have never met them before. And also, if I wouldn't have done that, I would have not been here today and share my little thing. Because for me, the whole thing of inaction is the biggest thing, what holds people back. And you probably heard it said, if your business succeeds, it's because of you. If the business struggles, it's because of you. So looking at yourself and saying, hey, I need support. I want to have a community like this makes all the difference. And now for you, Laura, looking, where does the cost of inaction show up for you right now?
I need to give that some thought. I think probably in not being able to connect with as many great restaurant leaders as I would like to. So just, like any of us, and I know Jason just dropped off the call, but if you're still listening, Jason and I have talked about, sometimes when you want to reach out to a restaurant that you want to work with, you get in your head and say, oh, they're busy. This might not be a good time for me to interrupt them. I don't want to be seen as another email that they have to deal with. But so my inaction in reaching out with the people that I want to work with is costing everybody the chance to grow their business. Mm-hmm. So that would be a message. And also, as far as how I met Shawn, it was online first and then Clubhouse, but there was a networking event. I'm part of this group that gets together in Orange County, and and it's mostly vendors that support the restaurant industry. So again, show up to the networking events in your community live if you can. Yeah. So I showed up at Cali Barbecue and I got to meet Shawn in person. It was all about smartphone storytelling. Yeah. And he had all of us do an exercise to take out our phone and start recording. And so I was able to practice a little bit. And honestly, once you get some practice, the first one or two are going to be absolutely terrible, but it does start to improve. And just like Dean said about planting a tree, just practice, because you'll just get so much more comfortable doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then also, Maddie Smoke just sent me a message. He says, Laura needs to start cooking in that kitchen, because every Wednesday, every Friday we see you, it looks spotless. Maddie, I agree.
I did not say that.
You didn't? Yeah. Cooking is not my best strength. The cost of inaction for me not cooking is helping my restaurant community locally. So it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, that was not nice, Maddie. Okay, but we appreciate, Laura, you spot on, and I appreciate you kind of tied it back why we doing these meetings. And being here, I missed a few weeks, and being here is just a community, and knowing that, hey, if I need help, I can reach out to any of them. And for me, I love Jason. I speak with Jason quite often. He looks amazingly good. So hopefully he doesn't hear it, but he looks amazingly good. I think being in California is good for him. But what I love about him, because when you ask him a question, he kind of brings it back and kind of makes me think, hey, I never really looked at it this way. And we need that. And with that, I want to quick go around the room. I wanted to ask a special question to tie up today's thing. So before we go in, hey, what is your homework? What did you learn today? I also want to know, where did you have that inaction? And what changed once you made it happen? So with you, Elizabeth, we go first. What was your inaction? What changed as you made it happen? And what is your homework? And what is the message for the market today?
So for years I had wanted, like, I was trying to create something, trying to do whatever. And so being able to step into this world has from inaction to actually looking at the skills in my hand and where the attention of my generation is and leaning into it. It's a quote from, oh gosh, I can't remember his name right now. Matt is his name. I can't remember his last name, but I was realizing that I hadn't really leaned in and that type of thing. It was specifically about the gift side of the business. But what it did for me is I met all of these wonderful people. I got to practice speaking. I got to meet Richard Liverman, who reshaped my thinking about my business and how I shouldn't get lost in the technicals of what I do, but to really start talking about the value that I can offer to businesses, et cetera. And so to me, the inaction part was I was a little bit lost in the direction as far as what I wanted to do. And I do feel like I'm a little bit in that transition time too. I heard that in what Jason was saying and what Richard was saying. I think we're always, there's a minister that I love that says, if your theology isn't changing 3 times a year, then you're not growing. So you've got to keep growing, got to keep working on things. And so for myself, it's recognizing, okay, what am I being drawn to right now? And am I dragging my feet on it, or should I start taking steps to see it happen? So I guess that's kind of the homework / other things. So
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here today, Elizabeth. Next one, Maddie Smoke. Maddie, there was some other hurtful things you said about Laura. We don't appreciate it. So
I would never. I was giving her credibility a few weeks ago.
I know better, Maddie.
So Maddie, looking at you, what when you look back, what changed for you since you made that action, whatever which held you back? And then also talk to us a little bit. What is your homework? What is you learned today? What do you need to take away from the day?
I mean, for me, it was, I always felt like my actions needed to be perfect, and that led to the inaction. Nothing was ever good enough. And this community helped me realize that, you know what, put it all out there, do it. And even listen, some of the worst stuff actually turned out to be some of my best stuff, incidentally, that, people loved it or they wanted to point out your flaws, but it was still good PR. It all worked out. So now it's just it's following through on your word, listening to what's going on around me, and then now just following through on all my actions. That this podcast started. What am I doing with the podcast? Where is it going? Why are we doing it? On the other hand, it all folds into the professional life, and where are the goals for the long term, and then taking action on those steps and stages to get where you want to go. But I think that all folds back to your initial question, that leadership. You gotta act in the moment now and not worry necessarily where it's going to take you. Just find out yourself. So
yeah, awesome. Thank you. And thank you for being here today, Maddie. Next up, Mr. Dean. Tell us, first of all, thanks for the compliment. Yes, I am standing. I want to be just like Shawn. So thank you for that. Looking back, what do you think changed since you made the action or made that decision? And then what is homework for you? What is a takeaway, and what do you want people to learn from the day?
Oh, let's see. I was thinking about what Laura said about the bus and getting the right people on, right people off. Back in the 80s, I lived in San Francisco, and I used to ride the BART. And you can ride the BART all the way out to Walnut Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I got on the wrong train one time and headed that way. And I thought, well, you don't have to ride all the way to Walnut Creek. You can get off anytime you want, walk across and head back into the city. And I guess that's kind of one of the things that I'm one of these guys. Sometimes I stay places where not wear out my welcome, but maybe it was time to go And you hold on to thinking that maybe things will change, and they just don't. Sometimes it's the same way with customers, personnel, people. Sometimes you got to let go to hang on, because
Yeah.
those people are dragging you down. They're not part of they're not part of who I want to be today. So I guess that's the answer to the question. My homework is to continue doing what I do every day, and
Awesome.
that's to uh, serve. That's to serve. So anyway,
Awesome.
thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, thanks for being here today, Dean. I appreciate it. And Laura, last but not least, what do you think changed since you made that decision? And what is homework takeaway for you today?
Okay. Well, just like you, Dean, I have had the tendency of staying in the wrong environment too long out of either loyalty or just determination, believing, and this is really in my past. So there was a work environment that I stayed in that kind of changed me for the worse for that time. Has everyone heard the phrase, show me your friends, I'll show you your future? Or we become like the 5 people we hang around the most. In that environment, the 5 people I hung around the most were the opposite of what I wanted to be as a person. And I should have gotten off that bus so much faster than I did. And, the pay was really good. And some of the perks were really good. So I thought, I can handle this, but it really took a toll on my sense of self and well-being. Getting out of that environment and into an environment with leadership that had shared the same values as me, honesty, integrity, helping others, serving. My personality just came back, my joy came back, all of my energy came back. And so that would be that is a cost of inaction for anybody listening. If you're in the wrong environment where your values don't line up and you don't believe the leadership has integrity, get out. It's just not worth it.
Awesome.
And then a book recommendation. You mentioned the Shawn's grandfather.
Yeah.
Stay curious, get involved, and ask for help. This book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie McKessie, is such an incredible book. And in it, it says, what is the bravest word that you can say? And the answer is help.
Love that. Love that. That's awesome. Thank you, Laura. And thanks to the community. There's 3 things I learned today. Delay cost trust, delays cost cash, and delays cost calm. So I want to say thanks for being here today. Thanks for the Rising Tide community. Thanks to you, Shawn. Thanks for the platform. Okay, I honestly believe if a life is worth living, it's worth documenting. So today, to anybody listening, make sure you record your lessons, you share your mistakes, and you lead openly. With that, I want to say thanks for being here today. My name is Christian. Decide early and lead steady. So with that, thanks for being here. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it.